Welcome back, everyone, to WCS Challenger for Oceania and Sea Day number 2. We're back and ready for some more StarCraft. Another great match coming up here. I think it's going to be Pig and I for this one for another TVZ. Everyone loves their TVZ. What match is this going to be, Pig?
This is going to be Meomaika Vs Azure. A rematch of yesterday where Mio stomped Azure 2-0 with some very cheeky, aggressive plays. Took him out with a Ravager Ling attack and then a very fast 2-base Mutalisk bust, where Azure kind of just overstepped slightly. Each game was kind of the same story. Defend really well, get a slightly ahead, defend really well, get slightly ahead, defend really well, get slightly ahead. Okay, time to be greedy. Oh, Meomaika killed me. It was something where I'm sure Azure was not too happy with that because he could have felt the edges he was gaining in those games, but they did slip away. So I'm sure he's going to rebuild and come back here playing doubly as safe as he did yesterday.
Yeah. Maynard, give me your perspective. Is there a way to adjust to Meomaika?
Yes, there is. Don't send a small army out to try and hold a third base against guys like Meomaika. Wait till you have a better sort of A move ball of Marines before you do something like that. This guy is you got to respect the amount of mutas he can make. You can respect the amount of lings that he can make. You got to be careful.
Yeah, I think be careful is the best way to play against this guy. He's a tricky one. All right, we are loaded into Catalyst here, folks, for the second series of the day. And over here in the top left, in the red, here's Meomaika.
And this was me with you, right, Zeph?
Yeah.
Awesome. Down here on the bottom right-hand side, in the blue, the Terran player, it is Azure.
Julio, and guys, if you don't love this match for whatever reason, or you're a super fan and you want to multi-twitch, make sure you check out OSC Esports. They currently have Hut vs Peppy on stream, so make sure you keep tabs on that as well, because that'll be another awesome match to watch.
Yep. And as we see, Meomaika, as always, pulling this drone in for a bit of early harassment. Just being as annoying as possible, and Azure not underestimating this, which is very good from the Terran player. Just making sure he guards that orange hit point SCV. Meomaika just dangerously sharking around there. Single drone. It's insane how much threat this can create in a Terran base. You know, Terrans, their workers are exposed while they're building, and gets a second hit down, almost gets a third. Does he get it? No. All the boys turn around and slap that drone down. They say, "Nah, we fight as one."
Yeah, well, there's nothing more tilting than losing an SCV to a drone in the early game, so well played there by Azure. And he's going to take a quick look around Meomaika's base. You really do need to be thorough with your scouting against Meomaika, because he does random things that I think sometimes maybe even surprise him. He makes these snap decisions, and he has these weird timings. He makes decisions that you probably wouldn't expect him to, so the best way to make sure you don't get caught out is to keep an eye out on what he's doing.
Exactly. It's one of these things where if you just play making any assumptions at all, you're going to be in trouble. And that's the thing. There's always a trade-off in StarCraft between maximum efficiency, where you follow the most refined, perfected build orders, and you get slightly, you get slight edges through efficiency, but everyone knows exactly what you're doing, and it's a strategy game. If you just play the standard way, it's easy to counteract you. It's easy to cut a corner, to change things up. Meomaika never plays the standard way, and yet he understands how other players play. He understands how to take advantage of that standard play. So we see, once again, something he's very commonly doing here, just not even building many Zerglings. Most players love to build 6 Lings to defend the Reaper. Meomaika always prefers to just try and skimp on those Lings, and try to get away with kind of putting pressure on the Terran to get more damage done. And if they don't micro that perfectly, Meomaika gets ahead every single time because he's just invested in less Lings, more drones. He's continuing his path up that tech. And it looks like it's just going to be a very standard follow-up here for Azure. Starport and Tech Lab goes down as well.
Yeah, we'll get a bit of map control in with the Hellions. Nice little block from the SCV here, and of course important to see whether or not a third is actually going to come down. The next bit will to be see if he actually puts drones on it. Oh, very cheeky. That's so annoying.
The Lings were busy in the main base at that moment. And, this Reaper comes in and sees no tech structures, sees the drone count is decent, so it's not like a crazy all-in, but definitely is aware that Meomaika is... Ooh, no cancel!
Okay.
That's 125 minerals, or 100 minerals, sorry, down the drain. So you do get 75% back if you get that cancel down. Meomaika dodging the Reaper grenade. Wow, that was sick.
Yep. Cleaned up, and in true Meomaika fashion, he has a bunch of Lings out on the map now. Does have to be careful with the Hellions, but he may even just stab into the natural.
He's looking for the Hellions. He actually wants to get the surround on them. One Hellion is going to go back in that direction. Azure right now in trouble here. He's microing the SCVs, but okay, does end up deflecting 4 now.
Yeah, provided he controls well, I don't think it's enough Lings to really be that scary, but I'd be more worried about the counterattack if those Hellions do leave. And as he cleans up the Overlords here, and actually supply blocks Meomaika, he is sitting back at home with those Hellions. He's kind of too scared to dart out there, and rightfully so.
Well, the thing is, against Meomaika, there's no pressure on you to really do damage to him because he never builds his economy very fast. If there's one thing that he's predictably going to do, it's build a lot of fighting units and a lot of tech, but he's not going to spread a lot of creep and he's not going to build a lot of economy. So as long as you just defend well, you're not worried about him covering the entire map in creep, right? Look at it. I don't think he has a single creep tumor yet, and that's just standard Meomaika. He doesn't focus on those sort of leads. So the reason you do want to pressure is to scout. You want to see, wait, what units is he building next? Because you don't want to be surprised. And we've seen Azure really focus on Hellion Lib in the past. Not great versus Mass Roach, not great fighting units in general when it comes to a pitched battle. They're more harassment focused. So he's going to have to get wind of this Roach speed and Mass Roach that's on the way. And actually nothing at home behind the wall right now.
Yeah, he's gonna have to repair on that one, and I don't think he's seen the roaches still. He's seen all these Lings, and he's like, ugh, you're being really annoying. He'll probably see a bit more now that it starts to rally across the map, but he does not have a lot. He has one Liberator about to come out, that'll definitely help. I think he's skirted behind the third and seen no drones as well, so he knows how much of an investment this is. At this point,
he just hasn't responded though. He just doesn't have any fighting units. I mean, there's no Ravages, so the Liberator can help. The Liberator has to help 100%, but it kind of sieges up in a bit of an odd location there, kind of catching the reinforcements. It's just SCVs and Hellions up against Roach Ling. This is not a great fight. It's good angling so far for Azure. The Liberator is now starting to pick up a few kills as well. It's just the lack of firepower here. Oh my lord, the Hellion splash is stacking up though. Meomaika kind of headbutting into a bit of a nasty location there. The SCVs were on hold position, so they weren't being focused down too well. And that's actually going to be an impressive hold considering how few units Azure actually had here. He's still only going to be down 5 workers. He's got a 3rd command center up as well. So with Mules dropping, he's still ahead in the economy, but definitely an edge of your seat kind of hold there. I wouldn't expect him to have played so greedy once again here, but now that he's got the 3 barracks up, he's got Banshees and tanks building, I think Meomaika's forced to go to the next stage.
He is, yeah. He's starting to pull back the units he was rallying across the map. And I was questioning that Liberator position at first, but actually did a fantastic job at picking up any juicy units that were coming up the ramp, any of those roaches. And he'll clean up this Overseer once again too. So, yeah, he's stabilized here. He did lose about, what, 15 workers, but, he's got 3 CC, he's got Mules. He's not looking too bad. Hydrogen coming up for Meomaika now as well, so it looks like he's going to stick maybe with that Roach Hydra composition as he tries to get a few drones up into the mix. Now, these Hellions, can they get anything done here? There are 3 Queens.
Gonna already start to get some shots down. Not really lining them up just too nicely. Only 5 kills so far. He's gonna get a few more before he goes out though. One more shot. Oh, only 6 drones. So not the best trade. Does see that the 3rd's been droned up though. So that does tell him that Meomaika is of course trying to build a bit more economy. You've still got to be very careful though, because Meomaika doesn't have a lot of upgrades. Only now getting +1 range and the Hydra movement speed. This is probably about where Meomaika maxes out the economy, to be honest. Maybe 5 or 10 more at the very most, but very rare for Meomaika to go past 60 or 70 when he's playing a Hydra style. When he plays Hydra Roach against Terran, it's usually about coming in from lots of counterattacks, swinging in, and the moment the Terran takes the 3rd is really where Meomaika wants to spring into aggression. For Azure, though, he's kind of sitting tight on 2 bases. He doesn't want to make the same mistakes he made yesterday, and I think that's why Meomaika's saying, all right, let's drone up a little bit more. Let's get the 2nd evolution chamber of upgrades. Let's start to add a few more queens in production, interestingly. Lots and lots of queens. So might be thinking of adding queens into a Roach Hydra push. And the idea behind that is you actually use them to tank the siege tank shots, since they aren't armored units. And your Roach Hydra kind of swings in from a different angle, while your queens just try to waste a lot of your opponent's time.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. This can be a tricky position to attack into as well, because this spot here where Azure sits, you've got alright coverage of both your natural and your third. Lots of splash. Zerg is attacking into a choke. So what we see here from Meomaika is he's kind of coming around one side with the roaches, other side with the lings. He can test the waters that way, and he may even be able to muscle his way into the natural because the tanks aren't quite close enough to actually fire on that.
Yeah, the Marines, though, going to stem over there, and they're going to say, nah, get out of here. Those roaches going to have to run their tails between their legs. And a few of them will go down in the process. Azure's actually going to get a little bit hungry with his chase. He's going to try and stem this down, but those units are going to get on out of there. So does push this back for now. Numbers-wise, Azure's looking really good. 2-2 starting. Lots of Marine Marauder on the way. The third is established for Azure. He's pushing it through to this kind of late mid-game stage of the game. It's going to work out nicely for the Terran.
Yeah, nicely defended there against that small group of lings. And Azure's keeping tabs on what's going on in the map. He's got a Banshee patrolling in the middle, Viking patrolling around the left side of the map as well. Just having a look around. There are a lot of pathways to your base, so he's staying alert, but not alarmed just yet.
Yeah.
We've got fourth base coming up for Meomaika as well in that forward position, which very much suits him because he's often in his opponent's face. And we'll see where he goes from here. He's getting the +2 attack. But after a little while, I believe Azure will have a nice time that he can hit. Now he's heading up here.
Got to be very careful. That's a big Hydra count.
Yeah.
Like, I like the idea here, as long as he puts a lot of focus into it and doesn't leave his units out in the open. Because one moment of inattention, those Hydras are going to snap the medevacs. One moment of inattention is all it takes. But he's going to lose a medevac and a few Marines there. He's just going to boost those home. Good call. Overall, I love the way Azure is playing this. He's waiting for 2-2 to really move out. He's got a lot of siege tanks, 6. He's going to have 7 siege tanks, 2-2, and a ton of Marine Marauder. The only thing I don't like about what Azure is doing is that he is now adding extra production. I was going to say he's sitting on 5 barracks and a factory and a starport for a long time, but he's actually going to go 3 more barracks. He scans the main, sees the infestation pit going down, and I think he's just going to go mass Marauder Marine here, knowing that as long as he has the upgrades, he has the numbers, he's got a huge upgrade lead, he should be able to just kind of power his way through the Zerg player. And that's absolutely the case. Meomaika still down at 58 drones. This is a tiny, tiny economy for a Zerg to have at this stage of the game, but it allows him to have a larger army at this point. And if he gets the right trade, that's really, I mean, that's Meomaika's entire style in a nutshell. It's engagements. He's all about finding the right fight, finding the efficiency through that. And Azure's sitting back for such a long time. I really feel like Azure should just be pushing at this point. But I understand why he's sitting back. I mean, especially after getting 0-2'd yesterday by Meomaika, you don't want to push out too early. And you're usually not worried about the creep spread or the economy. But the longer he gives to Meomaika, the more Meomaika is going to adjust. And we see now he's going up to 70 workers. He's spreading creep actually all over the map. So he has shifted gears. Even though it's a very delayed economic transition, very delayed creep spread, Azure is giving him so much map control, it's still going to be very scary to deal with later in the game.
Absolutely. That's another strength of his play that you wouldn't really expect. He can play that macro game, but he's going to suffer maybe a little bit from this drop. He's going to target down the infestation pit. No, almost no hive. He does start it just before that infestation pit goes down. Scratches the paint off that spawning pool as well, and looks like he might hunt for another location to drop. Sort of dancing back and forward a little bit in the middle as well.
A little bit wasteful. I would have liked that drop to go out. It's just going to get shut down, but it might open up an opportunity for the drop on the right to get in. No, the roaches and hydras are there. A couple of drone kills. Yeah, not really worth it. So Azure bleeds out 3 medevacs filled with units right before his frontal push happens. So that timing of all that coming together is not the best. I really would love to see him just push through one of these high grounds, set up that tank spread, and maybe... The floating command center with the army was a little bit funny for a second there, but I think it's on his control group accidentally.
Yeah.
It must be accidentally in his army group.
coming along for the ride. Now
Identity
he's
crisis.
heard you, Pig. He's going to set up here and slowly creep forward, try and find the right spot. Meomaika is going to come in from 2 angles at once. When he does, there's a lot of banelings in the mix as well, and he is crashing towards this tank line. They're holding strong for the moment, but is there enough here for Azure to actually clean this up? It doesn't look like it. There's an overwhelming amount of Zerg here.
Great engagement by Meomaika. Azure a little bit too deep on creep, and his tanks were too clumped up. They were in a tight little ball there. I think he needed to collapse in one direction with his bio, but now he's caught here a huge Hydra concave. This is the engagement Meomaika wanted. The upgrades are even. The early upgrade that Azure built for himself was never utilized once in this game, and as we said, he pushed right before losing 3 full medevacs of units, or right after that, sorry. He fought out there in not the ideal location. And I mean, Meomaika is always ready to spring the trap. This is what he waits for. This is what he lives for. We saw how decisively he jumped on that army. Now he's getting rid of the 4th. He's pushing in. He might be overextending here, though. There's 2 tanks in the back there. 3-3's about to kick in a few seconds as well. But Azure losing the 4th base loses his ability to just power out crazy amounts of bio. Imagine if there was a 4th base dropping mules right now, just how much bio he could be building. Not only that, a lot of medevacs went down. If you've got like 8 or 10 medevacs with a maxed out bio army against this Lair Tech Roach Hydra, you cannot lose. When you've got a 2 upgrade advantage, equal army supply, Marine Marauder medevac, you will destroy Roach Hydra. But now Meomaika's got the army advantage. He's up about 20 supply, and he's got a decent economy of 61 drones as well, adding more banelings. He's still got some decent creep spread, but he's not really re-spreading it in the middle. So that is one weakness here to Meomaika's setup, is that push path through the middle is always going to be open to Azure.
Yeah, looks like he's getting that planetary up in the middle here, slowly trying to recover a bit of his confidence, I suppose. He's down to 3 tanks. Still got a lot of bio, bunch of medevacs. Would love to see him try and drop again. And just as I say that, he does load up. Needs to be careful because he might run straight into those Hydras. Please, no, please. Oh my goodness.
That one, yeah, I think one's going to go down for sure. He's going to try and hide in the dead space up on the left-hand side of the map. There's more Hydras coming down for a reinforce. And those medevacs, yeah, at least one of them's going to be toast, I believe. But okay, just going to pull back for now is Meo. We've got Bio moving over to the left, trying to clean up some of the Hydras. So did catch 3 or 4 Hydras. Nice little pick up there. Azure is starting to max out. He's got his 4th established. He's still in this game 100%. I mean, he's actually ahead in upgrades, arguably ahead overall. It's just insane how efficient the engagements of Meomaika have been, considering how powerful this Terran army is. And once again, he's stimming forward, trying to clear creep, but with only 1 factory, the siege tank count is taking so long to rebuild. And that's why this really is a raw, meaty army. It's going to be about raw Marine Marauder count more than anything else. He's going to do a drop on the left-hand side, but Meo's already there. And once again, these drops just aren't doing anything.
Great coverage by Meomaika. 6 drones, not a huge deal right now. And this army's very hurt already. He's going to target down the hatchery and hopefully get on out of there. That's a lot of banelings rolling in, lots of Hydras as well. Does he have a boost? Yes, he does. That one medevac barely escapes.
Meo's going to pounce, though. Meo's not going to give him time to unload. He's just going to push across onto this planetary. Azure's got to get those units out of those medevacs, but they're all so bruised. They're so wounded. The banelings are going to run straight on into them. They're finding them at the same time. The planetary's going down. Meomaika is nothing if not decisive. He always jumps on top when the moment is here, but a good tank spread. Marine Marauder coming in from the left as well. Those medevacs trying to heal up that bio, but so many of them going down before they had a chance to heal. The Hydra count is just so insane right now. Meomaika finds the concave on the natural, is pushing into the 3rd, and that's going to be that. Meomaika takes game 1 in a drawn-out scenario. Damn, Meomaika, he's got what it takes no matter what stage of the game it is.
He stepped it up, man. Like, I don't know. I don't know how he does it. He just plays such this unique style, and he manages to make macro games out of something that looks a little bit like you should be really, really far behind when you do a Roach Ling and you don't really get the value you're hoping for. Going from the Roach Hydra composition into Lingbane Hydra as well, managing to get up to Hive. I'm not even sure. Did he even get 3-3 on his units?
Meomaika?
Yeah.
He got +3 range, I
got
think.
+3 range.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
he was
there
still
you
on
go.
+2 carapace, but like no Vipers or anything. Yeah, it was just Hydra Bane.
Yeah, just brute force with the Lair Tech units, really. And Azure, he played really well, a lot more safely than the last series that we watched him play. And he did have a few moments where he had that upgrade advantage where he was trying to find damage, but Meomaika's defense was just really, really good in that game. Like, Azure never really got a heavy hit on the economy or anything, never took out too many creep queens or anything because there was just no opportunity to. So I'm very impressed with that game from Meomaika. I haven't seen him play a longer game in a while.
Yeah, I think it was something where if there's one criticism of Azure, it seems to be a lack of confidence. And this is something which Meomaika seems to instill in everyone he plays. It doesn't matter if he's playing Probe or Seether or anyone. Meomaika always finds a way to pull out these crazy wins. And you can almost always draw it back to their opponent getting lost at some point in the game. Just a little bit, their game sense being off and missing a timing. And it's because you play thousands of games of StarCraft, and it's easy for us to watch from above, seeing everything and be like, oh yeah, we can see everything. Okay, there's a timing here. He had a big upgrade advantage. He had a good army. But it's very hard for Azure, with the limited information that you have in a StarCraft match, to know exactly what Meomaika is going for. And it's easy to second guess yourself. I think 100% if he pushes with 2-2, his whole army together, he wins the engagement. But he ended up pushing out with 3 medevacs, getting almost no damage with them, lost them, then pushed. Meomaika's upgrades finished just in time for the fight. And Azure's army was smaller than it needed to be, and he was not set up in the ideal position. He was a bit too clumped up. So it's funny how Meomaika kind of forces these small mistakes that compound out of his opponents. And it's very hard to decisively, once you've gained those defensive advantages, push onto the aggression. But I think it's the secret to beating Meomaika is once you've gained a few defensive advantages, you've got to do a decisive frontal counter push. Don't try to counterattack Meomaika to death because he doesn't have enough economy. He's never stretched far enough to be out there. You've got to push through the middle and you've got to take his army on head to head.
Yes, indeed. Well said. And it is time now for game number 2. We're on Lost and Found on the second map here. And in the top right, he's the Green Terran, Azure.
Down here in the bottom left, yesterday's champion of the open bracket, I guess we can call him that. Definitely the number 1 seeded player out of the open qualifiers. In the blue, it is Meomaika. Representing Dark Society Gaming against Legacy. No drone scout this game, so Meomaika's just gonna chill out. Every opening is always a little bit different for Meomaika.
Yeah, never quite sure what you're gonna get. Actually, give me your opinion on something unrelated kind of at this moment, but the spawning pool positioning. A lot of people are starting to stick that right out on the edge of the creep, like towards your opponent now. What's your feeling on that?
I was curious about this, and a few people were asking me, so I actually tweeted at a bunch of pro players asking them this exact question. I think it was Lambo who responded, as well as a few others, and they said, look, it's just for scouting. It's just to kind of see the rest of your main base in case like a warp prism or something comes in. And if, say, like a warp prism warps in some zealots, it'll buy a few hit points worth of time. At the same time, I think especially against Terran, you don't see it as much because, like, against a Zerg, you want to see sneaky banelings in the corner of your main. Against a Protoss, you want to see if a warp prism's coming in or something. But against Terran, drops are so common, and a spawning pool is a pretty prime target. So I think if you put the spawning pool out in the open, it often just gets sniped down, and you're like, oh no, I can only build drones and hydras or drones and mutalisks for a while, and that can be a death sentence in such a fast-paced matchup. So I definitely, I understand it against Zerg and Protoss, but I have seen some players do it versus Terran as well, and I always kind of like raise an eyebrow and go, really?
that was kind of what I was thinking, because I also thought, oh yeah, not really against Terran, but then I was thinking, but like if you get cheesed by Zerg, do you really want your spawning pool out there if you're getting cannon rushed?
Exactly right.
Is that what you want your spawning pool? But yeah, it's just an interesting little thing. I don't think we've seen Meomaika do it, maybe once or twice, but he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that likes to throw it out there. Probably because he's so used to dictating the pace of the game, he's like, I don't need that scout.
Yeah, exactly.
Overlord's out there anyway. But this Reaper coming in for Azure. It's having a peek, making sure, okay, no super early road forms or anything. Can he get
Gonna cause a bit of problem, actually. Forces down an evolution chamber and gets a drone kill. Yeah, there was nothing there in that base. And actually a quick third, the fastest third I think I've ever seen from Meomaika and ZVT going down on location. So Meomaika going to be doing the closest thing to a very standard opening from what we've seen out of him, and is already going to be starting the creep spread. So this is what you've been talking about all weekend, Zeph. It's Meomaika's flexibility and how he can just swap back into macro play. And I think that's what we're going to be seeing here. It's like, no, I'm just taking a third and spreading creep from the get-go. You can see when he's being aggressive because he never spreads creep at the start of the game. He waits until the turn defends all of his aggression, and then he's like, I guess I'll build some queens and spread creep like that last game. This time he's doing it from, 3 minutes into the game? He's still getting fast lair, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a Hydra Ling style. But just cool to see Meomaika really changing it up a little bit.
Yeah, he's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve, this guy. Nice denial on the creep tumor there. I think he plays the way he does because he finds it really fun. Like, if you guys have ever met him at an event or something, he's always smiling. He's just the most bubbly person, and he has a bit of a giggle after some of his games. So I think he just finds it to be the more interesting way to play, but clearly he's got that foundational standard macro play behind him as well.
Exactly.
He just chooses not to use it. So we'll see how this game goes. It's looking a little bit more normal from what Azure has seen. Like you said, there is a fast lair. He's also dropped a roach warren. But is he going to be ready for Azure's tech?
Yeah, I kind of wonder what Meomaika thinks is coming here as well, because this looks like a 2-1-1. So this build has been entering the meta. We've been seeing Maru do it a little bit, and sometimes he just dies because they do some sort of push, and you've just got a bunch of unupgraded Marines. But the thing is, realistically, Meomaika's whole information is literally just like, oh, you've got a bunch of Marines, and your barracks is on the reactor, so I know you're not building Hellions. So we see quite a lot of Roaches and Lings coming out at fast carapace. These things are all really good for stopping that like 5-minute 20, 5-minute 30 timing. But I guess the Banshee has been spotted now, so Meomaika is going to realize it is not that 2 barracks opening. But hey, not having spores down yet, this is definitely a good bit of damage to start things off for Azure. Cheeky play.
Yeah, awesome. And he's going to get right in here. He should be able to get a bit of a scout as well if he dips behind this mineral line. Sees that there's no other tech aside from that roach one just yet. And he escapes the wrath.
Oh my
Queens.
lord,
He
no
gets even
spore in the
more
main either. And that's, this is so Meomaika. He's always going to skimp on his defense. So I like that Azure didn't just sacrifice it there, didn't just stop looking at the Banshee. He said, no, let's keep microing this. There's a chance I get more damage. Wastes the mining time, gets another 2 drones, turns around and goes back in.
No.
That's a little bit ambitious. But another Banshee hits the 3rd and still no Spore Crawler. Meomaika, you greedy, greedy boy, trying to get away with murder this game. And it's the drones who are going to be the losers in that choice. Sees that the economy has just been battered, but Meomaika is going to be rebuilding it pretty fast. It's not like this is game over, but it's a great start for Azure. Going to try and get a Ravager kill before he gets out of here as well.
Oh, can he do it? That's a lot of queens. He's so close. But the queens do take that Banshee down. They had transfuses available anyway if things got a little bit too spooky. Would have actually liked to see him use one before he heads out on the map here, but it looks like he's kind of mad. He's been pumping roaches for a little while now, and he could put on some counter pressure with the large amount of units that he's been making. Lost 16 drones total. That's a full mineral line worth of saturation as well.
What are you doing, ladies? Are you okay? For a second, I thought these ladies were about to walk all the way across the map, and I was like, really? Are we going to do that? But I think Meomaika is just going to spread creep and defend for now. Just kind of thinking about it, but for now, just going to be light pressure. I mean, there's no real big damage units out for Azure just yet. It's like unupgraded Marine Hellion. Not the most standard composition, but it'll do fine just for now. And we're going to have double Thor coming out. Unfortunately, no gas for the medevacs. And interestingly, armor attack. Oh, Azure missed the attack upgrade. Didn't have the gas for it and has forgotten about it.
Oh,
ouch.
No. Oh, hopefully he'll realize shortly. Is getting that mechie composition up. A couple more factories have been built. Getting some siege tanks in the mix, but they maybe just be in time if Meomaika marches the rest of those roaches across the map now. But he's starting to get a bit of beef in the army, and it'll be a little bit tricky to attack into this, especially once those siege tanks are out. But Meomaika is doing nothing but pumping roach. He's always got +2 carapace and roach speed about to finish up as well. Sending a few lings around the south side of the map too, to maybe swing into the natural while he attacks the front.
Might find an open doorway actually, and indeed does
Nice.
find the way in there. Ooh, I mean, main base gets raised, but does force the pull off the natural, and I think this is going to be too tempting for Meomaika to give up. He's got to push the 3rd at the same time, 100%. So let's see, will Meomaika be able to get that siege tank in the open? It's going to come on in there. It's going to go deep on that siege tank. Does lose a few roaches for it, but I think it's well worth it since the siege tank count is really all Azure has standing between him and death. Hellions and Marines, not great units against this. The Thors add a little bit of punch, but it's the tanks on the high ground that can help hold on. Azure's tanks are locked in the main base right now. His main base ramp is still raised. His units were unable to reinforce here. His Thors are getting isolated. He finally lowers his ramp. But oh my lord, this should have been such a simpler hold for the Terran. But a massive screw up there. His siege tanks are coming down. No, these are still very valuable mech units. They do so well against the roaches, but the upgrades are insane, and the lack of the +1 vehicle weapons hurting him as well. Azure starting to get overwhelmed here. He's still got a decent SCV count. He's got siege tanks on the high ground of his main, so it's not over yet.
Does he have enough to stabilize here? Meomaika saw that he was really struggling to hold that off, sent the rest of his roaches here, and while these roaches will get cleaned up in the natural, he's also killed 17 SCVs. That command center might go down.
He's got to
All right, there we go.
You know, crazily enough, Azure's not out of this. Like, he's down 5 workers at the end of that, but oh, if those 2 extra tanks were down that ramp already, like, this is so much easier for Azure. Now Azure comes down here a little bit too ambitious. These siege tanks in trouble. Nice hot pick up there. And
yeah, that really all comes down to that lane run, but I think that just distracted him enough to
roaches coming in from the south.
Oh, no.
Oh, and gonna get on that tank at the top as well. The mass repair trying to go down. The Thor taking a lot of damage. It's gonna redrop. Good repair from Azure. Azure trying to survive in this game. Remember, Meomaika's already up 1 game. If he can close this out, he's gonna run away with it. And behind this, it's not all in. 67 drones, 6 more drones on the way. Masses of roaches are out. There is a Hydra den finish, but no Hydra upgrades have been made yet. And I mean, I almost wouldn't be surprised to see a Spire go down as well for some Mutalisk switching in the future. So Meomaika's going to add +1 melee, roaches, Hydras, Queens. Creep spread is spreading a little bit in the north side of this map, but Azure now has his 3rd and can start to breathe a sigh of relief, can start to stabilize. We'll need to restart upgrades and maybe sneak a few Hellion counterattacks in. Because for the last few minutes, Azure has just been locked in his corner of the map. Needs to exert a little bit of counter pressure.
Yeah, it feels like, about 3 minutes of non-stop roachy onslaught at Azure's house. Finally gets a breath of fresh air, can focus on getting a 4th and 5th command center, rebuilding that tank count, going into his upgrades. He's got that 2-2 started finally on the mech units. And he does have a bit more of a healthy force, so I agree with you. It would be nice to see some Hellions sneak in there. Because, yeah, Meomaika's been pretty comfortable this game. Not the smoothest start, considering that he wasn't prepared for the Banshee. But since then, he's definitely put on some hurt to Azure. He's got some units on the defense here for this base. Don't go that way. Okay. Nope. Slide on out of there.
Yeah, I mean, even just looking around, sees there's a 5th being taken. This is good for Azure. Sees it's a Roach Hydra composition as the base. And he's going to come through, sees a big pack of Queens. Going to dive for some drone kills. Let's see what he finds. Blue Flame is not done just yet. He's going to get only a couple of drones here and waste a little bit of mining time as well. Hive's on the way, so I'm curious to see Meomaika's late game. Yeah, the scan goes down on the Hive. I wonder if Meomaika is just going to play Broodlords, or if we're going to see like Vipers, you know, Spellcaster mix. There's a lot of different options, and I'm sure Azure has a good idea of what Meomaika's capabilities are in the late game. But his plan seems to just be turtle up, securing a 4th, has a 5th command center in the north of his base as well, and is just trying to get this huge siege tank spread. I think for now, it's totally okay that there is a lack of anti-air defense, but Planetary is not ready on this base yet. These siege tanks getting overwhelmed on their own. Most of the defense was in the north side of this map. Starting to come forward is Meomaika, looking for an angle on these mech units. 2-2 not quite finished. It's still about 20 seconds away.
Wow. Carnage on the ramp there, just a little bit further up. All those Hydras go down, and while he did get a tank or 2, I think, and some of the initial units that responded there, wasn't able to find the damage, so he's going to head home, and Hive is now finished. 19 more Hydras on the way.
As well. That's going to be 92 drones there.
Oh my
yeah, you
goodness.
weren't lying about Meomaika being able to macro. Look at it as well. The creep spread's getting all over the map right now. There's static defense all over the place. And Vipers are going to be the addition. Now, it might arguably be a little bit too high on the economy, but it definitely allows Meomaika to bounce back from a few bad engagements and replenish. So It looks like just Mass Hydra Viper looking for an angle. And I got to say, if there's one map that's good for turtling up on 4 bases, this is it. Lost and Found is a beauty for making late game comebacks as Terran. So as long as Azure sits home, maxes out, maybe starts to go to things like Ghosts, Libs, Nukes, I think Azure will be in a good spot. But just looking at the way this series has gone, looking at that Unsiege on the tanks, I feel like Azure might be ready to push. And I think it's a misstep. The Vipers are going to have energy. So Azure's going to have to be so good with how he plans this out.
Yeah, that's going to be tricky. I still feel like he's so stuck. Like by the time he moves out, this is actually the path that he's taking now, the only one that doesn't have creep on it.
Yeah.
But here he goes. He's going to be able to take out this hatchery. I don't think Meomaika can do too much like that, but yeah. He's going right around him like, I'm not even gonna... Ooh,
actually he comes back. And that's good because the tanks are now clumped up. Catches the tanks. Meomaika changes targets there. Pretends to go for the counter. Immediately shifts here after the counter is spotted and crushes that army.
Oh my goodness.
Decisively. Oh my lord.
Azure didn't even stand a chance there. He got completely mopped up, and now there's a huge amount of units left over. He's going to head towards that 4th base, maybe even that natural area. We'll see what he goes for because he's got a lot of units, and he's always looking for an opportunity to do damage. There are still siege tanks, there are still missile turrets set up, so I'm not sure how easy it's going to be for him to get in here, but he is sure as hell going to try and bust through somewhere.
Yeah, and the Hellions going to do a good job here with these tanks. Liberator's going to come forward as well. And this might be a bad angle to engage from Meomaika. Gets both libs, though. And Meomaika can afford the trades. 84 drone economy. I like the decisiveness. You know, poke in and maybe err on the side of staying a little bit too long. That's totally fine. Azure's going to take forever to recover here. And I want to echo my earlier sentiment. I think the way you beat Meomaika here is you got to wait until you're fully maxed. And then you need to kind of push into the center of the map. And you need to kind of just keep track of his army. You need to keep track of his army more than anything else. That's the real secret to taking down this Zerg player. It's so hard to take him down. Otherwise, I mean, this one is a disaster for Meomaika. That was not a good engagement at all.
Yeah, a little bit brave there. He gets cleaned up on both sides. These Hydras will get some Hellions for their troubles, but that's about it. But he's continuing to churn out more and more Hydras. More Lings on the way. He's going to start putting some more upgrades into those as well, and just completing that tech. He's dropping a spine here and there as well. Maybe just a bit of insurance against any Hellion run-bys that Azure might try. But he's looking to take another base, and Meomaika seems to be aware of that. He's going to try and capitalize on this moment as he moves out. He's not completely sieged up.
Yeah, there's not a lot of Hydras here yet, so the Hellions are going to do well, but more Hydras coming in from the left-hand side. Yoink! They get pulled to their death. The Hydra's taking them down. Very nice engagement. And this is all you need to do as Meomaika, just to delay these bases, deny them, take these little trades. Every time Azure stretches himself out, that's where Meomaika gets an advantage. I mean, Azure just needs to camp. Like, he needs to take all momentum out of this game, all tempo. He needs to slow things right down to catch back up. But I feel like Azure's feeling a bit too much pressure, a bit more pressure than there maybe even is. Meomaika, whenever he sees units in the open, is going to take a fantastic fight. Yeah, it's a little bit awkward for the Hydras since the Vipers don't have energy, but every time he trades 2 or 3 Hydras for attack, that is great for the Vietnamese Zerg. Meomaika grabs a huge edge there.
I've run out of words. I'm actually so impressed by the way Meomaika is playing this. He's trading so well. He's got 1 million tank kills at this point. Azure just really, he hasn't been able to do much aside from that early Banshee. I mean, he's almost lost 30 tanks in this game at this stage, and he hasn't really had anything to show for it. Again, the Hydras come up the ramp. 2 siege tanks are taken out. He's going to try and crack that wall. The supply deep is there. He's going to lose these Hydras eventually, but again, more tanks going out. The Vipers are here for the party as well, and now that he's in the natural, he can grab any of the rallies down that ramp.
When you've got 95 drones, a good fight, the definition of what that means totally changes. When you've got this sort of economic position that Meomaika has, this is exactly what you do. You just kind of keep pushing in different angles. You know the Terran can't defend every angle at once. Yeah, he'll have some good defense. He'll take an efficient trade if it was, you know, just raw resources lost. But the thing is, Meomaika's got so much money coming in, he can just keep throwing this. And as long as he keeps Azure off the 5th base, he's just going to, have way too much stuff. And that's the next plan. He sees Azure coming out to the 5th. It's like a couple of tanks, a couple of Liberators, almost no support. The Hydras and the Vipers are going to shut this down. I mean, he's burrowed Hydras on the right. At the same time, he's pushing in on the left.
Too much.
Yeah, Azure just saw, he scanned like 50 Hydralists and was like, nope, no way to stop that. There were Vipers as well. Meomaika crushes through, shuts it down, and GG, well played.
GG indeed. Meomaika. Was it you or was it Maynard that picked him as the dark horse yesterday? Because
I think it was
whichever one
Maney.
it was.
I think it was Maney.
Maynard. I think he's right, man. Like,
Yeah.
this is something I've never seen. I'm so used to his too basey type of play, the occasional cheese, a lot of Roach Ravager. And he just kind of bludgeons his opponents to death. And he did the same thing in that game, just in a much, much longer game. He had like 6-7 bases by the end of that, owned the whole map. Azure could really never catch a break. And that was just some fantastic Zerg play from Meomaika. Probably the best stuff I've seen from him since he's popped up in the WCS seasons. And I'm looking forward to more matches from him. So congratulations, condolences to Azure, but fear not, Azure fans. He is only in the lower bracket, going up against Fuely next.
Should be a good match there. The things are progressing here to be going up against that. We've got Seether and Risky, of course, clashing as well on the northern side of the bracket. Probe and Demi. So a couple of updates. Probe did take down Iagaz 2-0 to get into that match against Demi. We've got Seether and Risky. So Risky took down Fuely 2-1. Seether took down Bliss 2-0. So real challenge for Risky there. Playing Zerg vs Terran vs Seether. The number one player the last couple of seasons here. Absolute beast. I'm personally so excited. I'm really hoping Seether makes it through as one of our top 2 players, just because I want to see him continue to develop as a player. And of course, we are still waiting for those losers rounds to catch up. So off screen, off the bracket right now, we've got Azure versus Fuely, as Zeph was pointing out there. Iagaz has gone down 0-2 to Crimson. Perez went down 1-2 to yours. So a very early exit for Iagaz here today. I think that's the big surprise story here. But Crimson's a great Zerg vs Zerg player. So, I mean, it's never easy going down to that lower bracket so early and having to play a match against someone so good as Crimson.
Absolutely. And it pains me to see Crimson down there as well, because he's one of my favorite players. And he came up against Demi in the first round. That's a tough ZVZ match. They're both very, very good players, but I think Demi seems to have the upper hand against him in the ZVZ. So a bit of a shame that he's down there with 2 other Zerg friends, yours and NXZ, at this point in time. And I believe Hut and Peppy are currently 1-1 on the OSC esports channel, so you can check that out while we get set up for the next game. Because guys, we're going to take another quick break, get that next match set up for you. I believe we'll still be following the upper bracket. Quick thank you again to Maggers for supporting our scene, and we will be back with you in just a few minutes. Don't go away.